Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today I'm going to be answering the question of how important is word count for SEO and how do you keep up. So this is a really common question that I get asked. How long should my article be? Does my article need to be 2,500 words for it to rank on Google? It's very, very common in the industry. Hey, very quickly, if you want results like this dental practice, for example, we took the website from 0 monthly visits in November, and they are now getting over 750 monthly visits through to their website. They're actually able to generate their own inquiries for the business, and they aren't relying on third-party agencies to generate them leads like they were before, or this law firm that we were able to take from 1,100 to just over 2,000 monthly visits through to their website, as you can see from the graph, or this e-commerce store where we were able to grow them from 7,500 to just over 30,000 monthly visits to their website, and it's generating a lot of sales through to their e-com store. If you want results like that, make certain to check out casualdash.com. The link is in the description. Fill out the form, see if my team can help. If I feel like SEO isn't suitable for your business, I can also guide you on where you should be spending your marketing budget. But back to the video. So the actual in-depth question is, I've read that Google, for a good SEO optimized page, the word count should be 2,000 words, and in order to stay relevant, you'd want to keep updating your site with new content. This makes enough sense for a blog, but seems like a lot of content to be typing up all the time if you're trying to run a site. This is probably a newbie question, but how do you do it without writing content becoming your full-time job? Hire a copywriter, ignore the word count, focus on other SEO aspects to make it up for it. So it's a really good question. A lot of people actually have this question. Let's just take a look at the most voted up actual answer. So, well, I could show real-world examples where word count is absolutely meaningless, less than 100 words, and ranking at the top. There is antidotes that both prove that this is false and also true. I've been saying this for over a decade. Write for users, not for search engines. If you be sufficient, not use fluff words in order to meet the fictitious metric about length, looking at surfer, etc., then write it that way. It's my personal belief that if you're writing an article, you should never think about the length or check how many characters it has. Write it to get your point across as best as possible. I'm also a belief that the way to optimize a piece of content is not by optimizing it. Writing optimized content has absolutely ruined the internet, in my opinion. Write for humans, not for search engines. You will come out on top for the long run. So, there is some truth to what has been replied. There is obviously 19 upvotes to that. Now, let me explain as to why people say that writing longer content ranks better. And it's not necessarily the length of the content, but it's the actual the science behind it. So there's obviously what's called NLP and also entities that you need to have on the page for Google to understand what the actual content is about. If you have more entities, Google will say, okay, I understand what this page is about, right? So for example, right, this is Google's own NLP AI, right? So by the way, you can actually use this if you actually head over to, if you just search Google NLP Library, I believe it's like the second result, natural language AI, and it's just the little demo that I'm going to be showing in this video, right? So if we just click analyze, what this is it's just like a little bit of like a snippet, like a little bit of text. And basically what this tool does is it extracts all of the entities that's within that paragraph. And basically, what an entity or what an NLP is it could be like, for example, a price. It could be an identification number of like potentially a product code. It could be like a brand like Android. It could be an address of somewhere. It could be like a location. So, for example, you've got an address here, but you've also got like CA, which is California. You've got an organization, which again, it's a different type of entity. You've then got other, which is like keynote, and so on and so forth, right? So if we actually take a look at this, now let's say if this was our article and we wanted to rank for Google, right? So Google headquarters in Mountain View, 1600 Amphitheatre Parkway, Mountain View, CA 940430, which is like the zip code, I'm going to assume, unveiled the new Android phone for $799 at the Consumer Electronics Show. Sundar Pichai said in his keynote that users love the new Android phones, right? So this is like a really super optimized piece of content. And it's very clear for somebody to understand that Google has just recently launched a new Android phone. Now, the point I'm trying to get across here is that not everybody's content is super optimized like this with loads of entities. And it's just very clear for anybody listening or anybody just reading that content that Google's just launched a new phone, right? Some people will do this exact same piece of content in 6,000 words, and it's the exact same content, but they've just tried to fluff out the content with various subheadings, various H2s, various FAQs on the actual page. Did you necessarily need those additional 6,000 words, or could you have actually done that content in 2,500 or 500 words? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. Now, the reason why a lot of people like longer content is because they can get a lot more entities by chance within the content. So they're not necessarily thinking of the science behind writing content. Now, I'm probably making writing content sound super difficult and a very challenging task. It's not. By any means, but if you in the back of your head as like an SEO editor can think, okay, this content has come back from my content editor or it's come back from AI, let's say, how can I improve this? How can I get more entities on this actual content without adding an additional 3,000 words to the content? If you have that mindset, you're going to go a very long way. Whereas if you think every single article needs to be 2,500 words, when it doesn't necessarily need to be 2,500 words. Some articles might need to be more. Some articles might need to be 500 words or 50 words, right? So that is the mindset that you should actually have when it comes to writing your content. It doesn't necessarily need to be 2,500 words or 2,000 words for it to rank. It just needs to be long enough for it to make sense and long enough for it to have all of the entities that deserve to be on the page. That's where the misconception happens. A lot of people think, okay, I'm going to write 2,000 words and I'm going to, by chance, get all of the entities on the page. And don't get me wrong, if all of your competitors have a 2,000 word article and you can get you can answer the exact same snippet of text, or you can answer the exact same intent on that page with less words, but you actually have a more enriched entity-based article, you can go a very long way. So don't always just look at your competitors and think, okay, all of my competitors have 2,500 words. I'm going to go with 2,400 words, right? Because that's not necessarily the case. And not only that as well, is one thing that I've personally found when I do give content writers an actual keyword count. What they'll do is if they are struggling to match that keyword count, they will just fluff up the content. Or in some cases, if they are able to write more about the subject of matter that you've actually tasked them to write on, they'll actually cut off the content because they're like, okay, well, Kaz has only asked me for 2,000 words of content. I'm just going to write 2,000 words. I'm not going to get in any other questions that I know I should get in. So that's the hard part about word count. I personally don't think that you need a specific word count. If you can answer the page in 1,500 words and all of your competitors have 3,000 words, then go for it. You can publish that article. You can also add more words to it. That's the other thing. Don't think that your article from the word go is going to be perfect, because it's probably not. You're going to need to go back in and reiterate and re-optimize that page further down the line. So there is always an edit button. There is always also a delete button as well. So just bear that in mind. But that has been my video on how important is word count for SEO and how do you keep up with it. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, and if you guys do want a free 15-minute growth strategy call for your website, make sure to check the link down below or head over to casualdash.com and fill in the form. Thanks.